Well, a very good morning to you, Ben Troy and Joy back in Nairobi. We are, of course, coming to you live from the lakeside county of Kisumu. Actually, what a wonderful discussion you're having right there in studio concerning the state of nation from the perspective of the cost of living and also the fight against draft and against graft rather. And what are some of the perspectives we have from Kisumu? We know that the proposed financial tax 2023 and also the review of the price of petroleum products in the country by April. I've got people talking about such moves, and what are some of the perspectives from here in Kisumu? And on that note, I'm going to be joined by the National Treasurer Maendeleo Wanawake, Mary Adhiambo, and also with me later on, just a bit after her, we're going to have the people's representatives here in Kondele. That is the member of County Assembly representing Kondele Ward here in Kisumu. And starting off, Mary, you can move just here and look into the camera. You talk to us about how do you feel about the cost of living in the country, and what do you think? They say it is the wearer of the shoe that knows where it pinches, actually. And from your perspective, what is so pinching in the cost of living right now?
Yeah, thank you so much. At the moment,
I'll hold it for you.
Thank you. At the moment, we are experiencing difficulty in the grassroots level. In the homestead, we mothers, we are the owners of the houses, and we know it becomes a challenge when I'm not able to put the 3-course meal to my children. You realize that many parents are now able to offer strong tea in the morning as a breakfast, and that is all until in the evening. When people meet together, when there's some little unga is when people will have uji or a little gali with mboga. That scenario depicts the level of pinch on the inflation on the people at the grassroots level. It is happening and is a reality on the ground. And maybe the government is not aware has not taken the proper survey and find out actually how this is impacting on the community. It is a reality on the ground.
The government says it has a long-term strategy on lowering the cost of living. That means giving the farmers actually subsidized fertilizer, and which they believe has a long-term consequence of reducing the cost of living. But as we talk right now, how are people maneuvering, and what probably could be the shotgun measures?
Okay, when you see it as an executive and you're planning to save your people, you come up with short-term strategies and long-term strategies. The short-term strategies must be spelled out properly to the people of Kenya, and then we begin to see and feel them. Of late, I've seen the distribution of foodstuff within the communities, and I think it is not across the board. It is specifically targeting people who are experiencing some problem, natural calamities like floods, something like that. But I've not seen a proper strategy of handling the current market situation, because the reason why people are hungry is just because they can't afford sugar, unga, oil, cooking oil, and even transport to communicate or move around and do the marketing. So I think those are the little things that once you increase the price of petrol, you've turned around the whole country upside down. And the mama mboga will feel it down there. Carrying her vegetable to the market will go up. If she's been paying boda 50 bob, this time around she's going to pay 70 or 100 shillings. That is impacting on her. The space where she's going to sit and place the mboga, the cost of occupying that space is going up. If normally you pay a tax, it's called cess, 20 shillings, it will go up to 40. So it is directly impacting on this lady. And whatever she's taking home at the end of the day is affected. And therefore, she cannot take care of the family as usual. Things have changed. So instead of giving 3 meals a day, I'll end up getting only 1 meal in the morning, or maybe a light meal in the evening to keep the children to go to sleep. Yeah, that is the situation we have on the ground.
Well, now it's kind of dire, if that's the best word we can use to describe the situation. If you were in a position where you could affect the policy changes, what could you do?
From where I sit, I want to focus on the larger population and specifically what are the things that really directly affect them. I would be the last person to increase the price of petrol at this juncture. As a leader in the country, I would negotiate with the providers. I know we sometimes import petroleum products, but I need to negotiate with them and tell them, hey, guys, my country is facing this. If you move this price by even 1 shilling, the impact is going to be adverse. So kindly negotiate. I saw the former leadership. They could even support the unga millers and tell them, I know you go through ABCD, you sit on a table and tell them, please, between this period and this period, because they are planting, they are weeding, they are waiting for crops to come. This is going to take a reasonable time, like 3 months. Please, within this period, sacrifice. I will sacrifice with you. Lower it. Leave it at this stage. Then later, when I'm able to go to the shamba and pinch mboga and harvest maize and sustain my family, at that point, when I increase it, it will be understandable and reasonable. But when you are doing it at the point when I'm at the point of need, you become unfair to me as a consumer.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll continue engaging you more on that, but then for the constraint of time, let me just engage the EMS, the member of County Assembly representing the Kondelo ward. Mashif can just stand here and look into the camera. There is a bill, there's the proposed financial bill 2023, which I'm sure you're already aware of it. What do you make of the component of that bill? And given the state of the nation right now, from the perspective of the cost of living, what does this portend for the country?
I think the Finance Bill 2023 is putting the country in a catastrophic moment, because it's just like jumping from the frying pan into the fire. Because you look at the proposals in the finance bill, more so in the petroleum projects, where the government intends to increase the VAT from 8% to 16%. I think they are going to kill Kenyans in terms of economics, because petrol is a very, very big inflationary driver in Kenya, because it affects all colors, all fields, and therefore, just like the other day, you saw what the EPRA announced, because there was an increment of 15 shillings on kerosene. We had 3 shillings on super petrol and 6 shillings on diesel. That will have what we call a transitivity effect on the livelihood of the mama mboga, because there are those who still depend, and most of them, those on the lower cadre of the pyramid, they still depend on kerosene to cook, even to light for themselves. So you can imagine 15 shilling increase. What will the net resultant effect? In terms of transitivity, our mama mboga will not be able to fend for their own families. They will not be able to put food on the table because they still cook with kerosene. And therefore, I think I have to urge our members of parliament, I want to urge the government, this is the wrong time. Of course, there's a lot of argument that they have short-term and long-term measures. But again, when you have to institute long-term measures, you must be ready with the short-term measures. And that is where we used to have the subsidies. Of course, I know there are proponents that are against the subsidies. But again, we need the subsidies so that we are able to put the daily bread on the table in as much as we plan for the long-term future of this country in terms of economy. Yeah.
And there's so many components of that, the proposed financial bill 2023. And 20th of this month, that is 20th of May, has been set as the deadline for the public memoranda to be forwarded to the relevant committee. As the County Assembly of Kisumu, is this something that has been under consideration, and what is your take on it as the County Assembly?
Yeah, as the chair budget of Kisumu County Assembly, and together with the leadership and the speaker, I think we are to sit today so that we draft a memoranda as an assembly, and those with finance background, so that we also give our advisory as an assembly. And that is why we want to advise the national government, even through our MPs, through the National Assembly, so that there are areas that they should stop. Like, when you find that they give subsidies to those who want to purchase, they give tax freedom those who want to purchase choppers. You can imagine that, as opposed to putting these subsidies even on fuel, on food that affect the common mwananchi. So we have a raft of ideas that we are putting together as an assembly, so that we draft our proposal, so that we send it through our member of parliament, through our senator, so that it reaches the national government, and we give our plight, because it affects even the people of Kisumu County. The cost of living is running away, and I think with the recent increase of fuel, it's going to become unbearable for the common mwananchi in Kenya. And therefore, we are urging the government, look at areas where we can make changes, just like what we saw yesterday, the corruption. Kill corruption, fight corruption, and we can make a lot of savings through corruption, so that we ensure that we cushion members the members of the public with regards to areas they can get food, because these small changes like on fuel and everything, they have what we call a resultant effect in our disposable income. The mama mboga, if at all they were getting even 200 shillings or whatever they work, they are going to get less, because their disposable income is going even to reduce by half. Whoever is getting 500 will only have a disposable income of 250, and therefore that is going to affect the common mwananchi, and I think the government should change its stand with regards to that. Thank you.
And it's better that you've mentioned corruption cases in the country, and graft has been quite a thorn in the flesh in the country, and I'm so sure last evening you must have seen the president shake up the leadership of the KEMSA, where the president fired the PS for health, public health, and also the entire board actually. What do you make of that move?
To me, I feel those are just a little bit, some of them are PR, because we want to see arrest. We don't just want to see people being fired blanketly. We need to see the EACC coming in. We want to see arrests. We want to see prosecutions. We have to see people being taken to book, because if at all there is corruption there, then somebody must have gotten away with money from the government or gotten proceeds from where they were not supposed to get. And therefore, I think it's not just about firing. It should not end with those officials going home, but it should end at the corridors of court. It will end with prosecutions. It will end with arrests, so that we see recovery efforts being made, and that is where we can see that the government is fighting corruption. Right. But going to the media and making pronouncements and firing, I think that is not enough. Right. And I feel the government should do more with regards to corruption, because that is the only place where we can make a lot of savings that should be geared or channeled towards, a lot of savings and subsidies that can be able to help the government. And one last thing that I have to mention, if you allow.
Maybe if you can just do that in less than a minute, kindly.
Thank you very much. I want to say that, the subsidies are short-term measures. And all these changes with regards to VAT and tax are long-term measures. And therefore, I want to ask the president, in as much as you're working towards the long-term goal of ensuring that the country is stable in terms of economy, ensure that we institute subsidies that are able to cushion our common mwananchi within the short term, 3-6 months, as we work on the long term, so that our people are able to feed as they wait for the long-term gains. Because even the fertilizer subsidy, we haven't seen the effect. We haven't seen the changes, because it's a long-term project. But people must eat. Our people must be able to feed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ben, there has been the Joachim Okej, actually the county assembly representative representing Kondele ward, and actually the one who spoke earlier, that is Mary Odhiambo, National Treasurer, Maendeleo ya Wanawake. They're giving us their perspectives with regard to the state of nation from the perspective of the cost of living, and actually the cases of graft cases in the country. And like we had them mention, there is actually they're appealing for the government to institute some shorter measures, among them instituting some subsidies to cushion Kenyans from the high cost of living.